All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Shai, Ba'ashem Kodash, the blameless with the elders and apostles of great and stone. Shalom to the elect which is word in truth and in sincerity, with hope of receiving mercy for Yahweh, Ba'ashem Shai. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father. Yahweh Shai is the name of his only begotten Son. The so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the Israelites according to the prophecies that are written in the scriptures. I want to make it known that the RFID microchip is the MOTB. The serpent juice is a precursor to the MOTB. Yahweh Shai, whom the early we call Jesus, is about to make his return upon the earth to deliver his elect and to pour out judgment as it is written. So I'm going to go straight into this lesson concerning the time of civil disorder. I have a lot of events that are going to cause that to happen, but the main catalyst I believe of that is going to be the lack of bread. So this is 2 Ezra 15 verse 1. It says, Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Fear not the imagination against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction, for wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their earthful works are fulfilled. So let's go into this clip.
Secretary Hegseth, sir, a memo circulating on social media details the establishment of a National Guard response force that's going to be trained in crowd control and civil unrest and deployed in all 50 states by April of 2026. Can you verify the authenticity of that memo, and do you have any more information on the operations?
I'm not going to answer particulars on something that may be in the planning process, but we definitely do have multiple layers of National Guard response forces, whether it's in each state, whether it's regionally, whether it's Title 10 active duty, whether it's Washington, D.C. We've got a lot of different ways that constitutionally and legally we can employ Title 10 and Title 32 forces, and we will do so when necessary.
And breaking news, this just in from Steve Bannon about Donald Trump's future presidential ambitions.
Well, he's going to get a third term. So Trump 28, Trump is going to be president 28, and people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is, but there's a plan, and President Trump will be the president in 28.
So if that were to happen, by my calculations, Trump would be 82. And if it were to happen and he complete a term, he'd be 86 at that term's end.
I want you to listen to something, see if you've heard this before. Here is our Speaker of the House on Friday. Listen.
They're going to descend on our Capitol for their much-anticipated so-called No Kings rally. We refer to it by its more accurate description, the Hate America rally, okay? And I'm not sure how anybody can refute that. If you think about what's going to happen here tomorrow, you're going to bring together the Marxists, the socialists, the Antifa advocates, the anarchists, and the pro-Hamas wing of the far-left Democrat Party. That is the modern Democratic Party. That's where they've gone. And
Okay, stop. Hate America. Did you hear this? Have you heard that before? Listen to this.
I put this up and said, radicals, Islamists, communists, and socialists will work together against Israel, against capitalism, and work together to overturn stability. They're all radical.
He's going to get a third term. So Trump 28, Trump is going to be president 28, and people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is, but there's a plan. We had longer odds in 16 and longer odds in 24 than we got in 28. And President Trump will be the president of the United States, and the country needs him to be president of the United States. We have to finish what we started. Trump is a vehicle. I know this will drive you guys crazy, but he's a vehicle of divine providence. He's an instrument. He's very imperfect. He's not churchy, not particular.
Remember, say he's a vehicle of divine something another. But the thing is, yeah, And Yahweh Shimei shall lead him to bring forth chaos, yo. Because right now, in the midst of America is a great divide among beliefs, you know. And when I say beliefs, I'm just not talking about religious beliefs, but mindset and way of life. And right now you have a mass separation between what them call them the far left and the far right. And Yahweh Shimei is the one stirring that chaos. You might talk about the No Kings rally. Who them a call king? Donald Trump. But Isaiah tell us the Lord I go do. Let's get that. Alright, so this is Isaiah 19 verse 1. The burden of Babylon. So like the burden of Egypt. Behold, Yahweh rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst thereof. Read Revelation 1 verse 7. I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight, every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to their idols, and to charmers, and to them that have familiar spirit, and to wizards, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel lord, which we believe is Donald Trump. And whether or not them get rid of Donald Trump and put in somebody else to bring the chaos, it is what it is. But that chaos is coming. One way or another, it's coming, yo. And there's no one better right now than DJ Trump to bring it in, yo. They say, and the Egyptian will I give over into the hands of a cruel lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts. So them say, no king. Well, you don't have a clue. Let's continue.
He's very imperfect. He's not churchy, not particularly religious, but he's an instrument of divine will, and you can tell this of how he's pulled this off. We need him for at least one more term, right? And he'll get that in 28.
You're not driving me crazy. I'm trying to understand the coherence of the things you've just told me. On the one hand, you've said the Constitution is fit for purpose. Secondly, you've said that President Trump needs another term, even though the 22nd Amendment makes pretty clear that he cannot have another term.
Why does it make that clear?
Because he's on his second term already.
At some point in time, we will make sure we go through Zanny and define all those terms.
But you will be undermining the spirit of that amendment, even if you find some way around it.
If the American people, with the mechanisms we have, put Trump back in office, are the American people tearing up the Constitution? Would that be tearing up?
Well,
would the American people be going against the spirit of the Constitution, ma'am?
I think yes, actually, because I think what you will end up with is a populist justification for a quasi-dictatorship.
That's not true at all. Trump
That's what it sounds like.
It's not. Trump is a dictatorship. Did you just see the compromises he had to make on the big, beautiful bill? You see the compromises he has to do on everything, on accommodating Zelensky, on what President Trump. President Trump is nothing but a series of negotiations to kind of keep this thing rolling forward, where he's having trade-offs all the time.
Steve, you've just spent the last 20 minutes telling me we have to smash the other side. There's no room for debate. There's no room for compromise. We must smash them. And now you're telling me this is a negotiation. I mean, that's
no.
I guess that's right. There seems to me some kind of tension there.
The only way President Trump wins in 2028 and continues to stay in office is by the will of the American people. Okay? And the will of the American people is what the Constitution embodies. And so I think we're going to be in good hands there. We need to finish what we started.
What the people had a problem with back then was anarchists. I mean, they don't want a state government. They don't want hierarchies or centralized authority. How could they possibly? Communists, they're going to work with the anarchists. They want absolute state control over every aspect of life. Islamists, you throw them in, they want theocratic rule. They want Sharia law. Yeah. I know it was for the simple-minded back then, couldn't understand it, but I think you do. Why do they work together? Because they all share one immediate goal, and that is destroy the existing order. I did a monologue on hour number 1 of today's podcast. I urge you to go back and listen to it. Why is this being funded by billionaires? For the same reason. Destroy the existing order. All of them think they will win in the end, okay? They know they can't achieve their utopia without first tearing down the system that they hate, capitalism, constitution, Western civilization, whatever it is. And once the system is down, that's when real chaos begins. That's when they turn on each other.
As you know, President Trump's peace deal is incredible. It is iconic. It's historic. I spent yesterday's monologue explaining why I thought so. And I think this is something that will be discussed for a very, very long time in a very positive way going forward. But I have a suggestion. It's not...
So, as you can see, the Egyptians are in a state of array, in a state of uproar against what? Their leaders. And the scriptures speaks of these times. So going back to 2 Ezra 15 verse 14, and it read, Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction shall draw. For the sword and their destruction draw nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Listen very keenly. For there shall be sedition amongst men, and we are see right now is a form of sedition, a form of uprising, and it's going to get worse. For there shall be sedition amongst men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able to, because of what? Martial law, state of emergency. Certain regions and areas that could be off limit. So them not going to regard them kings and them princes, which is your elected officials, from your mayor, your governors, your presidents, your prime ministers, whatever. The masses won't be listening to them when them can't find food to eat. Verse 18, for because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. And it's going to be a scary time to be upon the earth, A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. And him say Trump will be the next leader in 2028, him say, right? What do you think the opposition I will say about that? So, as I said, we're in some chaotic times, and we're just going to watch how these things play out, It was just an interesting clip, and I wanted to show the brothers, the spirit that is out there right now, So, what I want to say, Kalalal, Yahweh, Ba'ashim Hawashai, Ba'ashim Akakadash, Shalom.